Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Today, I've got two headlines. One of them is going to be about MasterCard and broadening their stablecoin network, and the other one's going to be about Jerome Powell and some surprising words that we heard coming out of his mouth. But before we get to that, let's get you prepped for some success today. As always, I got that stock heat map pulled up. We are seeing a little bit of green in the pre-market so far. We've got Apple sitting up 0.63% off of its close. Looking to the upside this morning, 0.42%. We've got Nvidia with some very big moves to the upside yesterday, up 4.33%, continuing on that upside trend this morning, up 1.15. We've got Berkshire Hathaway sitting to the downside, 1.47% off of its close, looking to the upside this morning with some light buying pressure, up 0.1%. We've got Amazon looking to the downside off of its close, 0.37%, seeing some green buying pressure this morning, up 0.63 so far. We've got Eli Lilly looking to the upside as well, up 1.83 off of its close, and continuing with some buying pressure this morning, up 0.15. We've got ExxonMobil sitting quite neutral, up 0.03 off of its close, and seeing that buying pressure this morning coming in lightly as well, up 0.22. We've got Tesla sitting to the downside off of some robo-taxi news. We'll have to save that one for later because we got a heavy data drop day, so might be the news article for tomorrow. But it's sitting to the downside 3.79% and continuing on some of that sell-off. Just a light sell-off this morning though, down 0.05. We've got P&G sitting to the downside 0.87% and looking to the upside this morning with some light buying pressure, up 0.27%. We've got Microsoft sitting up 0.44 and continuing with some light buying pressure this morning, up 0.28. We've got Google sitting quite nicely to the upside in both its close from yesterday, up 2.24%, and this morning up 0.99%. We've got Meta closing to the downside 0.49% and looking to the upside this morning 0.63%, taking away all of those losses. Let's get over to the crypto side of things because we're looking quite mixed over there as well. Seeing a bit of green and also seeing quite a bit of red. Let's scroll it on down here. We're seeing Bitcoin up 0.07% for the daily. Looking to the upside on Ethereum as well, up 1.9%. We've got XRP sitting quite neutral, down 0.1%. We've got BNB up 0.4%. Solana down 1%. We've got Tron sitting down 0.6%. Doge sitting down 1.5%. Cardano and Hyperliquid both down 2% right now. We've got Bitcoin Cash sitting up 4%. One of those assets I was looking at this morning, and we'll definitely take a look at it here in a little bit once we get to some of that altcoin TA. If you got any requests for me, go ahead, drop them in the chat today. We might have a volatile market considering that we got some heavy data coming out today. We've got SWI sitting down 3.5%, Chainlink down 0.8%, Leo token holding quite steady, 0% change on the board for this morning. We've got Stellar Lumens down 1.4%, Avalanche down 1.8%. We've got TON sitting down 1.7%, Shiba Inu down 0.4%. Litecoin taking back that number 20 spot from HBAR, was sitting at 21 yesterday, taking it back for this morning, but they've been flip-flopping back and forth. Litecoin sitting up 0.6%. For those fear and greeds, we do have that stock market back in some light greed right now. I do expect that to cool off just a little bit with today's data drop, though. Kind of looking for a little bit of some lower targets. We definitely talked about that at the beginning of the week, wanting to see us sweep some of that top side liquidity so that people could really push things to the downside and get those bigger profits. That's kind of what we're looking at for now. We've got the crypto side of things sitting at 74 and greed. Nice push towards the upside of that of 8 points. Kind of looking like it's getting to that point where people might take some profits, try to push things back down to grab some bottom side liquidity. We've got that liquidity sitting directly to the top side of us right now, a little bit short of one of the levels that I'm kind of looking at for the morning. We've got 108,900 being that top side target where we've got the most liquidity. Kind of ranges up a little bit higher than that, sitting at $109,000. You zoom this on out, take a look at that 3-day, looking quite similar there with our top side liquidity sitting at 108,800. Zooming on out a little bit further, you can see that 1 week has a light little bit of liquidity to the top side at that same almost $109,000 price point. Zooming on out to that 2 week, looking quite similar there with that top side liquidity coming in at 108, almost $109,000. We've got that ranging all the way up to about 109,700, kind of a little bit closer to one of those targets I'm looking at. Go back to that, I believe it was a 3-day there. You can see our bottom side liquidity there on the shorter term time frame coming in at 104,500. So kind of two levels that I'd be looking at for today if we get that volatility that is expected with GDP data. Let's hop over to that economic calendar. Hop into that data that we're going to be seeing today because there's quite a bit of it coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be getting that Chicago Fed National Activity Index. Prior, we saw a decrease on that. Would not be unexpected to see a decrease on that today as well. We will be getting continuing jobless claims, looking like that might be fixed a little bit to the upside there from prior was 1,945, looking like a change to the upside 1,950 on that fix. We've got core PCE prices quarter over quarter final looking like a massive increase from 2.6% to 3.4%. So inflation coming in on the producer side. We've got durable goods orders month over month looking like a slowdown on that. We've got that we've got GDP growth rate quarter over quarter final coming in. Prior was 2.4%, forecasted to be negative 0.2%. So a massive slowdown on that GDP growth rate. We've also got that GDP price index quarter over quarter from prior 2.3%, forecasted to be 3.7%. So another metric that's just not hitting where we would like it to. We've got GDP sales quarter over quarter final was prior 3.3%, looking at that forecast of negative 2.9%. So all of these metrics so far are looking very, very negative for price movement. We'll kind of have to see how things are going as that market opens. Might be seeing quite a bit of volatility this morning. We've also got initial jobless claims coming in. Was prior 245,000, looking the same on that forecast. But they always change that data a little bit later, so I'll be keeping my eye on that one as well. That last metric we're going to be watching for this morning are going to be retail inventories. Looking prior was 0.3, nothing on the forecast, but I wouldn't be surprised on a slowdown with that as well. Scrolling on down, we got a few Fed chairs speaking today. Fed Hammock speaking at 9 o'clock Eastern time. We've also got home sale data coming out this morning as well. Pending home sales month over month was negative 6.3 prior. Forecast coming in at negative 0.3, so a lessening of that slowdown, but still sitting in the negative. Scrolled on down just a little bit further, we've got another Fed chair speaking at 1:15 Eastern time. That's going to be Fed Bar. We also have Fed Kashari coming in at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So another Fed chair speaking. Definitely a lot to keep your eyes on for today. We have been seeing quite a bit of some switch up from some of those Fed chairs, and that's something we will be talking about here in just a second. Let's hop over to the chat and get that Bitcoin chart pulled up here. There we go. I see Kyle Fields first in the chat saying, yo, good morning to you, Kyle Fields. Hope you're having a great morning so far. We got Dylan VA in here saying hi all, asking how I'm doing this morning. I'm doing quite well. I'm 2 cups of coffee in and about halfway through my third, so getting prepped for some success today. We've got K Diggity in the chats as well. Good morning to you, K Diggity. Hope you are having a great morning so far. I see we got about 5 lurkers in the background, so good morning to all of you, and I hope you're having a great morning so far. Let's dive into this Bitcoin charts and see what we're looking at. We did talk about if we got to the top side of $106,000 to look for that resistance at 108,200, and that's kind of exactly where we started bouncing off of yesterday. We are seeing a bit of some curvature here on both the MACD and the prime oscillator. I don't think that means that we're necessarily done running to the upside, because I did have an area I was looking to the top side of at about $109,000. That would really sweep that top side liquidity. We know we saw that liquidity coming in at about 108,800 for the top side. So nice little sweep, really confirmed this line as some resistance pulled from those candle body tops. We saw that nice rejection off of that golden pocket on our fib extensions here. Really showed that second touch on the line, really just waiting for that third touch here. So that sweep of some top side liquidity before we really get that stronger move to the downside with our morning's data drop would really kind of confirm that as some stronger resistance there. Just waiting for that data drop this morning though, because we do have this MACD rolling over our prime oscillator in the red and rolling over, but our money flow is quite positive here on the 4 hour as that volume increases as well. So we're really waiting to see how things hold up this morning to see if we can really get that stronger sweep of liquidity towards the upside and then look back down here towards our fair value gap, because we did have that fair value gap on that higher term time frame with the midline coming in a little bit below our liquidity that was sitting to the downside. So definitely an area to kind of watch for that $104,000 once we really sweep that top side liquidity here. Let's zoom this on in to the hourly. What we got in the chat, Kyle Field saying, do you benefit for if we watch the entire ads, or does it not matter? I don't mind watching the whole thing if it helps y'all. I don't think it matters either way. I always used to click skip ads on things. It's more that they show is how that works on YouTube. I pay for YouTube Premium, so I never see those ads. I got a nice little discount on YouTube Premium because I pay for Discord Nitro. So I haven't seen ads in months, so I always forget about that. We do have this 1 hour also breaking to the downside, kind of cooling things off just a little bit. Does lead for that possibility of a quick move towards the upside here. We're holding up quite nicely, making quite a similar pattern as we did below our resistance at $106,000 here. As you can kind of see, quite similar to what we're seeing here. We got that nice little rejection off of 108, making some higher lows here, but really bouncing off of that top side quite nicely. It is constricting as it does make that move up to resistance over and over again. That's why I'd kind of expect to see that break, sweep that top side liquidity, and then make that move back to the downsides. Kyle Field saying, I'm too proudful of my stubbornness to not pay for plus or premium memberships. Yeah, I used to be the same way. Honestly, the only reason I have YouTube Premium right now is because Nitro gave me like 6 months of YouTube Premium for free. And so I haven't even paid for YouTube Premium yet. It just is sitting there as premium, and there's some nice perks to it. I like being able to like play things on my tablet while I'm at work and then shut the screen off and continue to hear it without doing some nerdiness in the background and having to have YouTube continue to play with some of my own programming. So it does come with some perks, but yeah, if you don't want to pay for it, it's definitely not necessary. Let's zoom this Bitcoin chart in to the 15-minute and see what the morning is bringing our way here. Because this 15-minute chart does look like it's getting quite cooled off the same way that that hourly was, which does lead to the possibility of that nice sweep towards the upside. We did see that resistance coming in, that liquidity coming in at 108,800, and that potential resistance line is sitting directly above it. You do have those bearish divergences, which have really yet to play out. We got a peak seeker here on the 15-minute, and we've really cooled off this prime oscillator, sitting with a reversal signal at the bottom. I would expect a little more sideways momentum here before you see that stronger push towards the upside. We are in that in-between time between that European market and that American market open, so waiting for some liquidity to really come in here, as your volume is sitting quite low here, is not unexpected. This 108,200 price point is going to be a little bit of some resistance that we might bump up against again before we really get that nice sweep towards the upside, and then wait on our data drop at 8:30. We got that durable goods month over month like I was talking about, and GDP growth rate quarter over quarter. Both of those metrics looking like they might push price action to the downside. Let's see who we got in here. We got Darren Does Things saying, good morning. Since when am I a lurker? Well, now you're not a lurker because you said good morning. But I could see how many views were in the background, and I knew there was several people that were lurking in the background that just hadn't said good morning yet. So thank you for saying good morning, Darren Does Things. Hope you're having a great day so far. We got JR in the chats as well saying good morning, BC, and DDT, he says never. Well, now that he said good morning, he's definitely not a lurker today. All right, we did have a few news articles we wanted to go over today, so let's hop over to those. This first one about Jerome Powell. Fed Chair Powell sends surprise message on interest rate cuts to Congress. Don't refinance your mortgage just yet. Rumblings from several Fed Reserve Board governors this week indicated support for an interest rate cut next month. That's if the expected tariff inflation is less than the forecast and the labor market doesn't weaken. This is why I was talking about that data coming out of the labor market. Fed Jerome Powell is testifying on Capitol Hill this week, days after the June meeting kept the federal funds rate at 4.25% to 4.5%. Powell repeated his assertion about tariff inflation tariff inflation's potential impact on the supply chain during his testimony on June 24th before the House Committee on Financial Services. But he also sounded a tad, well, different as when rates might fall again. Fed officials offer mixed message on interest rate cuts. As the time of the June meeting, Powell said the post-pandemic economy was resilient and stable, but the risk of tariff inflation on prices on the national supply chain prompted a wait-and-see, prudent approach to holding rates steady. This disappointed many Americans, including President Donald Trump, who has been slamming Powell with a vast variety of vile vindictiveness, say that one 5 times fast, for keeping interest rates steady for all of 2025 thus far. On the fiscal policy side of the U.S. economy, market experts are watching President Trump's trade war, the tax bill, immigration policies, and the Middle East conflict. So are monetary policymakers. However, the Federal Reserve's dual mandate rules their actions. The Fed's dual mandate is prudently monitoring the monetary policy to maintain inflation at about 2% and unemployment relatively low to keep the recession-free economy and its GDP humming along. And that's why today's data drop might push things a little bit to the downside. So seeing that GDP growth rate really decrease is not a metric they would want to see if you're going to be cutting rates. Let's hop over to that CME Fed Watch tool, because you're seeing that increase of the possibility of an interest rate cut next month. We have had a few governors coming out talking about the possibility of federal interest rate cuts coming in for July, still sitting below 25% on that though. So not a massive chance of a federal interest rate cut, but the possibility is coming up a little bit more than it has prior. I did have one other news article that I'd like to talk about, and this is MasterCard expanding its stablecoin push with Paxos, Fiserv, and PayPal integrations. Let's scroll it on down. Here we go. MasterCard is doubling down on stablecoins with a series of partnerships and product expansions aimed at embedding regulated digital dollars into the everyday payment networks. The payments giant said on Tuesday it will integrate several stablecoins, including PayPal's PiUSD, the Paxos-led Global Dollar USDG, and Fiserv's recently unveiled PiUSD into its global network, which already includes support for Circle's USDC. It is also introducing stablecoin transactions for cross-border payments through MasterCard Move. The company also said it's working with financial technology provider Fiserv to bring PiUSD support to its card products on and off ramps and merchant settlements, and will let consumers spend both fiat and stablecoin balances under a single interface with MasterCard One credential. So just more adoption on that stablecoin side of things, and we've seen quite a bit of upside movements on that stablecoins for the TradFi side of things. So coin was ripping to the upside. We did talk about some downside potential for that the other day. Let me hop back over to that chart there. Scroll it on. Oh, wrong one there. We got Circle getting back down to some levels I had talked about. We talked about the potential for some buying opportunities here on Circle. We have now gotten down to those buying opportunities. We've cooled down quite a bit here, looking back down to the 382 on our fib retracements, with that price target coming in at 192. Pre-market sitting at 194 right now, so is opening right around that price target I was looking for. This CME gap is now filled. Let me get that colored the proper way, and there we go here. we've got that nice gap being closed after yesterday's close, looking a little bit more to the downside this morning. Definitely getting to some good buying ranges with how this 15 minute is looking. Might continue to see some downside action into the morning. Might see that push back up towards the CME gap with some of those higher term time frame charts before we really see that stronger move back down though. Let me get that 1 hour pulled up. 4 hours, not what I was looking for. Here we go. 1 hour, getting a little bit of some cool off here. You've got your prime oscillator getting that reversal signal. Your volume is quite low as your selling pressure continues to grow here. Not too unexpected after this massive run from $31 all the way up to $296. So people taking profits is not so unexpected. And that's why we're looking for some lower targets here. You have this fib extension that I have drawn out coming in between the 50% line and our 382 on a fib retracement. That might be a little area to watch for. That's coming in at 176.74. So if we are unable to hold up that 382 on our retracement, then you might look back down to 176 to see if you got some good buying opportunities around there. Might continue to see a little bit more downside on circle at 163.71. That's the 50% line on our fib retracement there, and there'd be some very good buying opportunities coming in around that price point. You do have all these people taking massive profits, and anyone that was buying in around here might have got out around that 236 price point that I'd been talking about yesterday. Decent profits and waiting for that buying back in point. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. I see Mark Dutchin here saying morning all. Selkuth, why alts so weak? I've talked about that quite a bit here on my show. Let me get this changed over to me. I've talked about this for almost the entire cycle, and I haven't been extremely happy about the kind of altcoin market. We've got over 30 million altcoins. And as you saw with prior markets, when you saw like the .com bubble, and you've seen it over and over again, as you create big bubbles and everyone wants a piece of that money, you see less and less of money coming in to these alternative revenue streams. And that's what most of these altcoins are. They're just a gamble. And as there continues to be about 10,000 altcoins created a day, you're going to see less and less opportunities for those altcoins to pump. People are just throwing their money at everything when there's a $3 trillion market cap on crypto in total, and you've got 30 million altcoins. Well, how are most of these markets supposed to pump and raise with Bitcoin when you're going to see less of that money going into those altcoins as you are with Bitcoin? We will kind of have to see as Bitcoin dominance decreases and it's not flowing into stables if those alts actually get a pump. But I have talked about the oversaturation of the market, and that's a big reason you're seeing alts look so weak. JR saying, if you're aren't putting chocolate and cacao and cinnamon and vanilla in your coffee, I don't know what you're doing with your lives. There, I said it. Sir, I just drink black coffee. I don't know what all that foo-foo stuff is, but I'll take your word on it. No, just this past week or days, it's been worse. Well, I don't really, I'm going to be honest, I don't focus on alts that much. And that's because I'm a Bitcoin maxi. And I really just care about getting as much Bitcoin as I can. If you've got a few of those alts that you'd like me to take a look at, go ahead and drop them in the chat and we can kind of take a look at that altcoin market. We do have Bitcoin Cash that I was wanting to take a look at this morning because I saw that it got a nice little move to the upside. I was talking about that last week when we were sitting down below, closer to the golden pocket there, about wanting to see that pump towards the upside. I talked about it on TradeFly's channel as well when he was doing some TA. I was like, hey bro, you might want to take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash got that nice move off of that golden pocket, sitting with a little bit of some resistance at the 382 here on our fib retracements. Potential for some nice double bottoming back at the 50% line on our fib retracement before we make that stronger move back up towards our potential resistance line here. So looking quite similar to Bitcoin on that potential resistance towards the upside. You do have the data for today that might push things a little bit lower. Taking a look at that hourly coming in with that strong resistance at the 382 there, and that's where I'd really look down for that another touch back at the 50% line. I see VVV was talked about by JR. He loves that VVV. We will add that one to the list here. VVV. I see Pepe is bleeding. All right, we can take a look at Pepe as well. Usually Pepe pumps with ETH. Let's see. Anything else? We can take a look at both of those. All right, we had BCH coming in here with that resistance to the top side. The hourly MACD and prime oscillator both getting that curvature back to the downside here, looking towards our indicator line here on the MACD, and some overbought signals have flashed, but no third reversal signal here. So that's why I would look for a little bit of a sweep of any liquidity that might be to the top side this morning before we see that stronger move down. 15-minute looking quite cooled off here, and that's where you might see that nice stronger push back up above the 382 on our fib retracements before we get that stronger move back down here. Prime oscillator really cooled off here. We got a bearish divergence that is stacked up. Would wait for another divergence to wrong. There we go. Bitcoin Cash. Sorry about that. I don't often switch to me to do some talking and then go back. So got that screen pulled back up here. We got it pulled back up to that hourly. Here we go. We've got that price point coming in with the 382 as some resistance there. Got your MACD getting that rollover here, but it is doing it a little bit with some sideways momentum here. So waiting to really see what that money flow brings for the morning. You've got some overbought signals that have flashed and the prime oscillator rolling over. Your volume holding up quite nicely. So that's where I'd really wait to see what the morning brings our way. See if we can sweep some of this liquidity that's probably residing above that 382 there. Let's get over to that 15-minute chart that I was taking a look at there, and we've got that nice curvature here on both that prime oscillator and MACD. Waiting for some money flow to come back in here. You've got your 382 being that little bit of a resistance point that we might bounce up against before we see that nice strong move back down here. So waiting for that sweep of liquidity at that 382, then coming back down, confirm it as some resistance, and then make that move back down. We do have a nice fair value gap here from the hourly as well, coming in as an area where we might see a little bit of some hold up around 400 and almost $70 there. Would look a little closer to 467, where we might see a little bit of some bouncing action before you continue rolling on over with how those higher term time frames are looking. 4 hour looking quite toppy, as just like the 1 hour, and that daily also looking quite toppy here. So everything's kind of looking a little bit toppy on those. Let's take a look at some of those alt requests. We had Pepe and VVV. So let's find Pepe first. I know it's here somewhere. There we go. Pepe. I guess it's been a while since I've taken a look at Pepe, but some of those levels are still holding true. We had that nice bottom side area that we had been looking at, and that's right around where we got that bouncing action after we lost the platinum pocket here. This is pulled up on the daily. Daily looking like it's continuing to roll over here. You've got your MACD line remaining below our indicator line after we broke below zero here. We did get that nice push up to try to break above our indicator line before we continued to the downside with some strength after we lost that platinum pocket. Made that nice little move back up towards our indicator line and continuing to the downside here. MACD prime oscillator also getting that rollover. We did see a reversal signal flash and our true 7 is clipping out. I might see that clip out a little more as we continue to see this break back down towards our area that we had seen be some support here. Let's see. Low-key feels like a bear trap. It would feel so obvious to short on any altcoin while BTC are at range highs. We'll just kind of have to see, because I talked about the data drop we're going to be seeing this morning, and that might drag the markets down all together, both on your TradFi side and on your crypto side. That's kind of why I'm looking for a little bit of some downside action there. Did talk about wanting to see those pumps at the beginning of the week to really set price up for some shorting action for Thursday. Let's see. I'm so glad I had to sell my entire alt portfolio due to home renovations. They're screwed. Well, congratulations on that, Mark Dutch. I hope you got some good profits on those, or at least broke even. Really saving you there. I am sitting in 0 alts right now, and I've been quite happy with it because all of these alts have been quite battered down. You know, Pepe did get that nice run up, and it's yet to really make any new highs. Made these lower highs here, and then really dropped back down to bear market prices, which is how all of your altcoins have really been looking. We've been seeing everything kind of sitting at some bear market prices. If we lose this level coming in 0 0, let's see, 1 2 3 5 zeros, 8 1 3 5 2, then I'd look back to bear market prices where we saw things coming in at 0 0, let's see, 5 zeros, 6295 would be an area to kind of watch for, and that's the bottom side of our fib retracement there. So everything kind of battered down in that altcoin market, and that's because where are you supposed to put your money? There's so many alts here. Let's see, one daily divergence. Ooh, it's building up, says JR. Yeah, we've got a little bit of a bullish divergence here, which is starting to build up on Pepe, but money flow is still looking quite garbage. And look at this volume down here. This volume has just dropped off of a cliff like crazy. These reversal signals aren't doing a whole bunch because the volume is extremely low on Pepe. So continuing to see a little bit of some downside action here. Doesn't mean you won't see these pumps along the way, but look, this pump only got up to below the highs from here. As we break lower, we make lower highs, and we continue to make lower lows. This was a brief switch up where we got back up towards that golden pocket and then continue to make lows, lower highs and lower lows. So all-time low, Polkadot, says Mark Dutch. We can definitely take a look at that one. It's been a little bit since I've taken a look at Polkadot, because Billy loves to talk about it, and I had to take a look at it with him. So let's get to Dot. Oh God, yep, breaking below levels. I didn't want to see it break below, and that's a little worrisome. This is what your altcoin market is kind of looking like. We've got Hugo Thars in the chat. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a great day so far. Let's get this scrolled on out to a higher term time frame here. Take a look at that daily. And as you can see here, we had this nice strong support line that was coming in from the lows before we really made all-time highs on Polkadot. Let's get that a little nicer there. There we go. This was the lows from back here. Made those nice highs. Got this coming in as some support before we made a new all-time high for Polkadot. Once we lost this, we were extremely range bound here on Polkadot. As you could see, we turned that $3.60 into some support before we saw the lows from here being our resistance, and then we came back down to $3.60, came back up to $11.88, and then found that $3.60 as some support, and then lost it. And really looks worrisome here. Things continue to be battered down, and these dino coins, if you have a long-term conviction in them, might be at good buying prices, but it also leads you to be a little concerned here, because these $1.50 was the absolute lows for DOT. So let's get that horizontal line drawn out, and this would be that next support area we'd kind of watch for DOT, and it's extremely low, so might be at that complete beginning of DOT all over again, and it's not holding up that well in comparison to Bitcoin, and that's why I'm just in Bitcoin right now. And I've got my stock picks, and they're doing well, but this is why I'm not in alts. You know, it's very concerning here, as even established projects with utility are making new lows that we haven't seen this entire cycle and haven't seen in years. So a little bit concerning there for DOT. Thanks for pointing that out, Dutch. Quite concerning there. So hopefully you're making your money where you can, and you're not buying projects like this. Even if you are staking DOT for 15% yield, what's the point in getting 15% yield on an asset that can't break even the lows from last cycle? So just something to keep in mind on those alts. We are looking at bear market levels on a lot of them, and waiting to kind of get above golden pockets and platinum pockets and turn them into some support. But it is 5:29 my time, and almost time to head over to that morning motivational video. I didn't get a chance to look in VVV, but I will do some TA on it and drop that in the Discord for y'all. If you're not a member of the Discord, definitely should be. You're missing out. We also have a few affiliate links in the chat. Go ahead, check them out. We've got that Chart Prime membership that you can get for 45% discount. We've got NordVPN with a 74% discount for VPNs. We've also got a new partner, Optory. If you get those scam emails or scam texts or just weird phone calls, Optory can help you out with that. It'll delete your data from data brokers and really free you up from those scammy messages. Make sure to tune in to the rest of the Piper Academy. We've got that morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got Trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Great place to learn some TA. And we've got Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto, a great place for all you late night folk to have some fun. I'm normally asleep during that, but here it's a hoot and a half. Alright, I will see y'all at the morning motivational video here in just a second, but make sure to wake up because today's going to be a good day.